Samir Arora, also joining us from Dubai this morning, founder and fund manager at Helios Capital. Samir, thank you so much for speaking with us, and
Good morning.
we'll talk about a variety of things. I noticed the blinds are shut behind you, but I assume that the view is fine and everything is safe
No,
and
no, no,
sound.
no, no. I didn't want to close the blinds actually behind his Burj Star, but the light is so strong. Otherwise, I don't want this very boring background that I have. So it's
You should just
absolutely,
open it. You should just,
I don't mind opening it
yeah,
if you
open it. Give
want to
us,
see.
no, open it and give us at least a peek of what the Burj is looking
No, but you
like.
won't be able to see now. There you
Acha,
can
we'll
see
see
the
it.
Burj Star.
Acha, we'll see it for a second. We're seeing it for a
Okay.
second, and it's good, Samir, because uh, that's what happens in the world of social media, right? Everyone is thinking, oh, the Burj was attacked. You're sitting there with the Burj behind you.
And the Burj is here, and we paid extra for this view. Of course, before we knew, before we knew that this is happening.
I hope your current hotel stays comped because I believe the Dubai government has done that for everyone, which I thought was a fantastic gesture.
No,
No.
no, no, no. It's been done by Abu Dhabi only,
Abu
not by
Dhabi.
Dubai.
Okay, you don't need it, Samir. It's okay. You can enjoy the view of the Burj and pay for it. Okay, let me come down to brass tacks. How worried should Indian investors be right now? How worried are you?
I am not worried. The reason is that we have, first of all, I've been doing this for 30 years, and even otherwise, you are most welcome to study it more than having to experience it every time. That all these things end suddenly after a few days, maybe 10 days, 5 days. In this case, I think not more than that. I'll explain. But broadly, then most of these things reverse. Oil prices will rise and then they will fall, and then we'll have weakness in markets and they will correct. And these things don't uh, really affect. Unfortunately, you can say if you want that the stock markets are very cold blooded and they just recover very fast. And in this case, my simple reasoning is A, that you have taken, you means the US and Israel have taken out the top, whatever, 40, 50 of the senior guys and maybe many others in the management of Iran, and you really expect the 55th guy to be as strong as the first three, five, the Revolutionary Guard head and the actual supreme leader and his first nominated successor, his son-in-law and whoever else, and their defense minister and all that. Number one. Second thing is that if, and every day they are being attacked. So if those guys had to respond in some big style, they can't keep waiting because they are anyway being attacked and all their weapons would be affected like that. So broadly, I would think that this will end plus minus a few days, or at least there will be negotiation. And negotiation, I think President Trump has tweeted or said that already, I don't know who, but in the hierarchy, somebody is already asking for new round of discussions. So I don't feel this is, super bad in the from a stock market point of view. And if it is bad for a few days, it is very difficult to sell today and then buy back 2 days later or 4 days later. Believe me, I have tried this all my life. I've been a hedge fund manager for 20 years. These things don't work. It looks today, if you short and then tonight it will look better because you would have shorted when it's down 2% and the market would have closed down 2.5%. And you would say, because you're not getting the whole 2.5, let's say I'm just giving as a number. And you'll be very happy tonight that, you know, you saved 0.5%, and then 3 days later it'll be up 1%, and the whole story is over. Just chill.
Just chill. This coming from a man who's just said that he's tried to do this all his life and it's a very difficult thing to do.
Many things work, but this doesn't
This
work.
does. Fair call. Samir, in the event, so I know the base cases and probably oil markets are giving an indication that this is probably not as grave and protracted. But in the event that this becomes a bit protracted, but the markets gets used to it, will it be yet another conflict, much like what's happened in the previous instances, wherein the markets have a sharp downtick and then bounce back? By the way, we don't even have a sharp downtick. We're just down about 1%. This could be any other day.
Yeah, but before that, I have a favorite story. So once I was giving an interview to one of these multiple channels that we have. And in those days, the issue used to be that oil will go up a lot. Okay. It was not going up, but there was this fear, maybe there was some other similar thing. So they asked me, I think I remember the days also because I was in Bangalore for the World Cup, and so 2011. So that's why I remember that date and time, whatever. I mean, that broad. So the anchor asked, so what do you think? I said, it's okay. What's the big deal? So he said, but what if oil goes to 100? I said, then it will not be okay. But right now it is not 100. So I said, it's like you asking a friend, how are you? And he says, I'm good. And you ask him, but what if a truck hits you? Then he says, no, then I will not be okay. But today I'm okay. So if it happens, yes, it will maybe worse. But generally, as of now, logically, it's not. And also from an India point of view, I thought separate that in Feb, India showed remarkable strength.
Mm-hmm.
That even though the IT sector was down 20% and maybe well deserved as far as I'm concerned, but the overall index was sort of zero or maybe plus little bit. The currency was not down, FI flows were not negative, and other sector indices were up, which is quite remarkable to have one big sector which is supposed to affect so many things down 19, 20, whatever it was down. And in the same month, even though Korean market was up, I think some 15-20%, Korea had FII outflows of $8 billion in Feb. So maybe the momentum for Korea is taking it up and the momentum for India is maybe taking it down or keeping it down. But one big factor seems to have changed, that the FI flows in that month were minus 8 billion. I just read today morning only for Korea, and plus whatever, I don't know for Friday's number, but plus minus 1.5-2 billion for India. So we have been looking at this, looking forward to FIIs. And then we had this big placement on Friday. And I just saw in one report that some 700-800 million dollars won a deal that Vishal Mega Mart or whatever. And according to that, most of it was taken by foreigners.
But my question was quite the contrary. In that, I'm saying that even if the truck were to hit you or your friend or whatever it is, are you still Teflon coated enough to withstand it? Which means that even if
No,
this
no.
is protracted conflict,
It might
can
be
India still
down.
do better?
No, it can do better. I'm saying, so let us, everybody will be marked down a little bit, right? Everybody. And from that level, then we'll have to start. But I'm saying you can't preempt these things. We are
Okay,
more
fine.
interested in what can we do today.
Okay.
So A, you can't plan for that. You can't think about that. And if it happens, maybe the answer that day would be that, you already been hit for it. What I'm saying is just, and you can't really anticipate these things, but you can broadly be comfortable that at least these things, which is wars and events like this, don't have a lasting impact. Because, exact, obviously, poor people die and their businesses may, but I'm talking from a stock market in general.
No, so Samir, we've been having a conversation this morning on what are the bunker stocks, and not to be not to make light of the situation, but if I had to look at it from the Indian point of view, if I needed to find a set of investments which are war-proof, tariff-proof, maybe AI upheaval-proof. Okay, so
Yeah.
what
So
am I
first of
looking
all,
at? What am I looking at? Are there enough safe havens in the Indian equity space?
why do we need tariff proof? Because the tariff is now in our favor. We are currently, the tariff from India is 10%. And 3 weeks ago, it was 50%. It is not 15 today. It is only 10.
No, we
So you
don't know
can
when it's going to
imagine.
change. We don't know when it's
No,
going to
no. How
change.
does
Let's
it
be
matter?
honest.
No, no. It's like saying that the tariff was 50, and now the discussion is whether it will be 10 or 15 or 10 or 18. And we are worried that, oh my God, how much uncertainty? Will it be 10? Will it be 15? Will it be 18? When we know A, that 3-4 weeks ago it was 50, and we were celebrating the first 25% removal, so it was still 25. And then we were celebrating and counting that now the Indian delegation is going to US and the US guys are coming to India. So we would have been very, very happy that we would have got 18% from here on. And now for whatever period, we have 10 and it can go to 15. And now most of the countries will be at similar levels, because there is no room for the US president to make it beyond 15 on his own today. We have to now separately have those hearings or whatever, or studies to make it more. And even if he wants to take it back to effective 18, because there is no further tension, in the sense that India is not saying, oh, sorry, now everything over, and let's start again. So if the rest of the world accepts, which is what Trump is saying, then we are okay with 18, which will come later. But in the meantime, we are 10 or 15. And how can it be that today and this month, every factory in India which is exporting, which was exporting otherwise, would not be desperate to send as much as possible, because as of now it is 10, whether and I it can become 15, but it won't be only for India.
Okay, so then
You can't look at negatives like this.
let me remove the tariff from
Yes,
that
good.
bucket.
Okay,
Okay,
good,
so
good, good. So
chalo.
next oil.
Crude,
Next, let's go to oil.
crude and
So
AI.
oil, no, AI, to we know, I've been saying forever, but let's go to this thing first. Crude. So crude Indian prices are controlled. Control in the sense that you are not passing them through directly to the customer. So as far as the customer is concerned, doesn't matter. Now you will say, oh, therefore we will hit for the stock that I own, HPCL, because they will have to take the hit, because the government is not compensating them for the fact that today price will be higher and all that. But the reality is, now these things have been around for at least 4 or 5 years or more in this current format, that when the oil prices are down, prices are not reduced so that HPCL and BPCL and others can make up. And when the prices are a little up, then they may be on the margin, or in reality, not able to pass through. But over any 1 year, 2 year period, it's the same thing. It is just that the volatility is suppressed because it is taken on their balance sheet. But we have seen now for many years, more than 2 years, that when prices were down, HPCL and others were allowed to make. So we know broadly it's a running account. It's basically a running account where somebody is keeping a khata कि अभी बढ़ गया oil तो कोई नहीं मेरा minus चल रहा है. Then after some time when oil is down, you will be allowed to make up for that. So, and even if, okay, you say you don't like and HPCL is down, so which other fellow is affected directly as far as the public is concerned? You are not being given that. And if you say in aggregate, if it is for 1 month or 15 days or 30 days, how does it matter in the overall balance sheet of any country? Okay, the India loses $2 billion. So what happens? I mean, these things are too small. So please take it out. Let's go to third.
Third is AI.
Okay, so AI, what is new this weekend? AI has been around forever. I've been coming and telling you forever
Friday,
that AI is
4,000
affected.
people were removed by
Just
Jack Dorsey. Friday.
because you guys are late. I've been saying for how many years? At least 1 year, that AI will affect India, and it will affect the guys who are using and all these things. And maybe 2, 3 of our companies now, people doubt, oh, car trade will be affected, this will be affected. Their weightage is 5%, 2%, 3% in the market. So AI was there on Friday or Monday, and it was there last month. So please drop AI, because AI has been not a new thing which happened this weekend. So we have no problems. But okay, we can call AI. I think AI is a bigger issue than all these things.
Okay, so AI is the biggest issue. Samir, the next one then should be defense. You know, that should be number 4,
Yes.
and number 5, we should talk about gold and silver.
Okay, so those are all positive things we can talk about. Enough of these negative. So defense obviously is good. And the only thing in defense which we have an issue with is that we don't know, because if you want to buy the large companies have all these orders from government which are, of very large things. For example, somebody is making some, I don't know, nuclear submarine, or somebody is making some planes and fighter planes and all that. And those things are so big and so long term that we are not able to get our hands around it, because if you give somebody a 10-year order and say develop it in 10 years, then first 3 years you go to them and ask them what is happening, and they say no, we are designing it, and then we are making a prototype, and then 8th year we'll get revenue. So I don't relate to all these, because in time some technology changes, something happens. So I like day to day kind of thing which I can understand, and we have only one real stock, which is Bharat Electronics, because you can sell electronics to anybody and everybody needs it, and you're not really committed to success of one big long term project which is going to be really, the outcome or the output will be seen after 10 years and 15 years. I don't relate to those kind of businesses.
Samir, what about gold and silver? Do you think then ETFs makes the best bet right now?
So I am not a commodities precious metal
Agreed.
fund manager. I'm a pure equity fund manager, but personally I own gold. In my total, this thing might have become 12, 15, 13% because of its appreciation. So, but silver I don't have, and I don't relate to it, because gold is seen as a precious commodity and being hoarded and stored by banks, by central banks, and or sovereigns, or ETFs or family offices. But silver cannot be hoarded. So you are just piling on as a poor man's gold. and then spinning other stories on it, that it is industrial and it will be used in solar panels and it will be used in EV, and EVs are not really growing. I don't relate to it, so let me not criticize it beyond the fact that I have I have negative interest. No, I don't have negative interest, which would mean I'm short. I have zero interest in it.
You mentioned in somewhere in the interview that the February flows picture has looked interesting to you. You've been monitoring it, etc.
Yes.
Do you reckon 2026 could be a year of turn for flows or global flows into India?
100%. So actually, I have kept one slide here to read out some numbers to you. 1 second, let me see if I can. Oh yeah, here it is. Okay, so these are numbers from a Goldman Sachs report dated 1 day ago or 2 days ago. Okay, 27th Feb dated. So I'm starting from 23, just to read out a few numbers. So in 23, India got 21 billion, and the total inflows into these are the countries that they have are India, Korea, Taiwan, Philippines, Indonesia, Thailand, Malaysia, and ASEAN, which they are calling emerging Asia. So India got 21 out of 31. Next year was 24. The total outflows from the region were 23 billion. India had 1 billion outflow. In the next year, which is 25, which is a bad year, India had 19 billion of outflows, but the total outflows from the region were 41 billion. And even Korea and Taiwan had outflows, 4 billion in Korea and Taiwan, 8 billion. So in the whole of 25, India had disproportionate, and people got upset that India has, but Korea, Taiwan also had outflows, although smaller than India. And this year, which is year to date, in 27th Feb, Korea's already had outflows of 8.5 billion, but Taiwan has had inflows of 8. So just to give you some context, Korean earnings growth this year will be something like 100 or 120%. And last year also it was some, I don't know, I don't directly do it, I just read, but it was some 50-60%. Next year, Korean growth will be equal or lower than India, which will be 14-15%, because Korea's growth has come from these massive profits in Samsung Electronics and Hynix combined, making more than entire India's profits. These guys will, the two companies will make something like $250 billion of profit. But memory prices cannot go up like that. So they'll become regular growth or whatever. That is the assumption. So next year they'll grow 12-14%. So obviously, after seeing the stock prices go up, 50-80% in 1 month, I think, and broadly, the market is up 190% in 1 year. You tell me if the whole market triples. So what do you think the investor will do? New foreign investor, he will not overweight it. He will trim it. Maybe he had some more things he bought and he will reduce it. It's logical that if the market has tripled in 1 year, nearly, you don't need over analysis. It's just obvious it'll flow. And one more thing is, emerging markets are getting money. I think maybe China is getting, which is not in this number, and other. So overall, India has some 15% share. Okay, so give us 10%. If you get $100, okay, you don't give us 15 because you don't like, so give us 10, give us 5. Why are you taking out from us to fund the balance? It makes no sense unless those markets are booming, which Korea is currently booming or was booming, and maybe even today is booming. But it's tripled the whole market. Although it is basically because of 2 stocks or maybe more, not the average stock. India will be okay, but India will permanently get lower money than they could have got. But right now, we are not worried about what could or should have happened, but what will happen.
Perfect. Well put. Okay, Samir, maybe the truck, I hope the truck doesn't come in, and if it comes, your Teflon coating holds you in good stead. I'm sure it will.
No, it's okay. It's okay. We have Bhagwanji also in our side.
Thank you very much.